You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks. Well, good evening. Guess what? It's Tuesday. It's also debate night, apparently. So we've had, as a good friend of mine and former host with us here used to call them, we've had Uncle Speedo and Count Chocula going back and forth on the CNN debate stage now for a little over an hour. Actually, when I first started spinning up the show, they were still talking and decided we were just going to do the show anyway. So sorry we got a bit of a later start than usual, but we were also fighting some gremlins. So I hope everybody's had a great beginning to your week. Of course, it's now officially Tuesday, which is the day that is not Monday, which means it sucks just a little bit less. But hey, Miss Jen, how are you?
I am doing pretty good. Nothing to complain about.
Well, except for
if you other than the obvious.
Unless you spent the last hour watching CNN or a YouTube equivalent of CNN like I have. All right. So where do you want to start first?
Oh, let's just get into this whole debate thing. I think you said before we came on air, does anybody understand the point of this, really? I mean, I know that it's possibly going to be repealed and that the GOP is going to, now going to be the ones driving the bus. But I don't really understand why we have them debating this right now.
I mean, I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, look, I had fun with it. It was interesting to watch those two smack each other around. It's fun to watch somebody like Bernie Sanders who just, doesn't even hide the fact that he wants to be a socialist. He's like, hey, we need universal health care. We need a government option. We need this. We need that. And I'm watching going, you're talking about all these other countries that supposedly have all this stuff and how great it is. But before we passed the ACA, those people used to come here to see our doctors. Hello.
Right. Well, and, of course, just the most basic thing that you can just start with here is that they equivocate. They just always do this. They falsely equivocate health insurance with health care, and they are not one and the same. And insurance does not guarantee. I mean, the care is not guaranteed by the ACA. Having insurance is not even guaranteed by the ACA because you still have to do it, and you're being coerced into having it. I mean, through tax, kind of under the guise of like a tax scheme, so you're penalized if you don't. This is all government force. It's government control, and they want it to be even bigger and better.
No, exactly. And I mean, that's the one thing, like I said, Bernie Sanders never even bothered to hide it. I actually, because of the way the TV set up around here and everybody else was watching TV, all of the tuners that we had access to were engaged, so I actually couldn't tune to CNN on the TV. So I started looking for a place to watch it online, went to YouTube, searched it, found one of the first live streams. I was like, okay, cool, I can listen to this while I'm doing show prep. Realized that I was listening to it on a liberal YouTube channel and started paying attention to the little chat on the side. And then they started taking breaks in the middle, and all of a sudden there's these three guys in the middle of the screen giving all their props to Bernie and how they're so glad that he talked about how we need universal health care and we need this and we need that. And I'm like, yep, got to find another channel to watch this on, because otherwise I'm going to start ranting in these people's chat and then they're probably going to ban me.
Yeah, and I don't know, did you see... well, so much has happened on this thing, and I didn't get to watch from the beginning, but I find it, there was a woman, a small business owner, and she was talking to Bernie, and he couldn't even come up with an answer. He just really couldn't. I mean, it was like, well, I can't afford Obamacare for I can't afford health care for these people, so I have to do this instead, and I can't even afford it for the first time for myself, the first time in my adult life. So, because that's like the thin margin I'm running. And Sanders was basically like, what happens if one of your people gets sick and they get cancer?
And I'd have been like, well, what happens if I get sick? Because now I don't have health insurance. Thanks.
But not only that, it's like, what? She's not their mommy. Like, I don't understand why it's her responsibility. Well, it's not her responsibility.
Here's the thing with that, though, and I've noticed this happening on both sides now. Because do you remember when Chris Rock, under the Obama administration, actually was doing a stand-up bit somewhere and said that the president and the first lady were like our parents and we needed to do whatever it was that they told us? And the right came unglued and started talking about how, the president and the first lady are not our parents. We are grown adults. We can blah, blah, blah. So I just saw a meme the other day that was getting passed around like 1 billion times that says that it was an explanation as far as all the rioting and the protests and everything else, that America at this point is acting like a spoiled generation who has had no parental figure, and now they have President Trump acting like the tough father figure that we should have. And I'm like, did you really just say that? So here's the thing with this, though. As far as Bernie Sanders is concerned, and this is one of those statist things that we've talked about before, the government in their mind has taken the place of parents. So when they say, what are you going to do to take care of your employees? In that instance, they're viewing that employer as an extension of the government, and therefore they are responsible for the people that are under their that are employed by them. They literally look at them as being under their care, and that's part of that statist mindset that we've talked about before. Because as far as a lot of people are concerned that are on the uber left and even some folks on the uber right, the state is the end all and be all of existence, and an employer is in their mind is it actually an extension of the state. So it makes sense that the first thing Bernie would say is, well, what are you going to do about the people that work for you that get sick? I don't know. What did we do about the people that worked for us before when they got sick before? I mean, they're acting like we had no access to health care. I can't think of a single place anywhere around me where if you went into like an emergency room and said, hey, I need to get stitches, they're going to be like, show me your insurance card or get the hell out.
Exactly. That is, it's such a myth. And, when I lived in Europe, that's what all of those people thought there. I mean, I studied abroad in Spain, and I was in classes with and friends with French, Spanish, Portuguese, Danish, all sorts of people from all over Europe. And they were astounded by the fact that, like, no, you can, if you get hurt, you can go to a clinic or, an emergency clinic or an emergency room, and you will be treated. If you get sick, you will go and you will be treated. That they thought that, they really thought that that's that there was no health care unless you had insurance, and that's why it's so important for the state to provide it, basically. It's just not true. And we kind of scare people into that. I had some, when I was running I was running a catering business and a restaurant and music venues, and I had a young man working for me. Oh, he was probably 21, 22. He was doing that, going to school at the community college, like maybe 2 or 3 classes a semester, but working all in between. And, and he did, and he worked hard. And I gave him a lot of grunt work, but he hurt his hand and it was swollen and it was disfigured. I mean, he broke something in his hand. And it wasn't at work. It happened outside of work, but he was scared to death to go to the doctor because he just knew they weren't going to treat him because he didn't have insurance. And he just kept saying, well, I don't have insurance. I said, it does not matter. You go right now. And especially if you go over to one of the various hospitals that we have here in Austin, so most of them are part of a Christian system. So it's St. David's or even Seton Hospital Network. And there are so many things in place for people like him to get help regardless of their insurance at all. And sure enough, he had to go through they had to reset his hand. He had to go through several surgeries and then physical therapy. And do you know what he ended up owing? After he had to go sit in the offices and deal with the admin and get the right paperwork filled out and all of that thing. But he ended up only having to pay a couple $100s for all of that because of his demographic, because of his income level, and because of the charity of that a lot of these institutions have in place that you qualify for. So. But even this kid, he had just, he was just a year or 2 out of high school maybe, and he had bought into what they had taught him, which was that because he didn't have insurance, he could not get health care. And it's so wrong of the Democrats to be misleading people and fear-mongering this way. It really is detrimental to society.
I mean, come on. There were times when I was not always making a decent amount of money. I mean, I remember like when I was working my way through college from 18 to 21, I was working at a Wendy's part-time, going to school, and then cleaning bathrooms in the morning. So I would basically get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, work until about 10, go to class from about 11 to 1, go home, study till about 4 o'clock, work from about 5 to midnight at a fast food restaurant, turn around and do it all over again. I didn't have health insurance back then, but I got sick a little bit here and there, and I managed to find ways to get things done that I needed to get done, and I managed to get the health care that I needed because we've always had access to health care. That's the point that Cruz was trying to make to Bernie Sanders, is that we've always had access to healthcare. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders tried to turn it around. Well, you could have access to buying one of Donald Trump's mansions, too, but if you don't have $5 million, it's not going to do you any good.
I know. It's so stupid. But why do they act like... They act like, and this is that more of that fear mongering, like people are dying in the streets. And if you take this, like they were before and now they will now too. No, that was not how this was. And if anyone was dying in the streets, it wasn't because they were refused services. That's insane. That is not how we have operated in this country. It's just, it's getting so over the top. And Bernie really... he stepped in it 2 or 3 times, trying to counter, which I expected. Like, this is the type of stuff that like Cruz lives for, and he's excellent at doing this. Bernie is fumbling over his questions, and then he's trying to put it back. I mean, how do you put it back on the small business owner with 30-something employees or whatever, and act like she's telling you about her struggles and how they barely break even and how she doesn't have health care herself. And you're so tone deaf and you don't even know how to answer some of her questions about the policy that you are defending. And you end up kind of turning it back around on her and shaming her for not providing health care. I mean, this was doomed from the start.
I mean, she even tried to explain it to him. She said, you don't understand. I have 5 different businesses that I run, 5 different salons, and because of Obamacare, I have had to limit the number of people that I've hired to 49. Right. I cannot go past that number because I can't afford it once your mandate kicks in. And he's like, so do you have more than 50 employees? And she's like, no. Well, you should have more than 50 employees, and if you have more than 50 employees, then yes, you should be providing insurance. She's like, well, how do I afford it then? Because I'm trying to tell you, with the way you guys have the system designed right now, I can't even hire a 50th person because if I do, I go out of business. And I don't know how many people that I have heard that from. I don't know how many businesses that I know that have shifted their entire demographic to the point where they don't hire full-time employees anymore. They hire part-time workers at a set number of hours, and they don't go over a set number of employees to make sure that they don't have to worry about the Obamacare provisions. And that's been my issue with a lot of this all along. Because let's be real. I mean, there were things that we were told that were going to happen under Obamacare, and they didn't. We were told we were going to get to keep our doctor. Newsflash, my kids had the same doctor pretty much from birth until right around the time that they were graduating high school. And then by then, we had John come along, so we had the same doctor for him for quite some time. Well, thanks to the Obamacare fiasco, we had to find John a new doctor because 5 years ago, my doctor said, hey guys, I'm having to fold up my private practice and go back in and work with one of the OU medical practices, and I can't bring any of my existing patients with me because with the required extra paperwork and the extra money, I can't run my own practice anymore. I have to be in an existing practice, and they won't let me bring any of my patients. So my kids actually lost their doctor. That was 5 years ago. Now this last year, because up until now, and I know I'm going to sound like one of these bougie 1%ers for a second, even though I'm not, I happen to work somewhere that provides health insurance. If you're getting it for yourself, it's basically one of the things where they give you a credit for it and they take their credit back to cover the cost of it. So I've had insurance for the time that I've worked for these people for free, which is going on now about 3 years. Well, even when I was self-employed, my wife's job always had insurance. So it was something I never had to worry about because she works for a union. They had really good, really inexpensive health insurance. So she was able to put our entire family on it for about $55 a month, which was really good even back then. Excellent once Obamacare got a hold of everything. And it actually stayed pretty close to the same for a while. This time, about 2 years ago, they had to change providers because the plans that they had through the group that they were originally using were no longer going to be available. And now this past year, they've removed the spousal coverages. So now, thanks to Obamacare, my kid's doctor basically had to let all of his patients go and go work for somebody else, and I don't have my second form of insurance anymore. Because up until this point, when I had 2 forms of insurance, which I've had since I worked at Convergys, I could actually go into a doctor's office, throw my insurance cards down, and they could do whatever they needed to do, and I wouldn't come out of pocket anything except for maybe at some point having to negotiate something with the insurance companies later if they decided that something wasn't going to be covered after all. But it made my life so much easier because I wasn't having to worry about, I've only got $20 in the bank account, and now I got a $30 copay I got to deal with if I want to go to the doctor.
Yeah, and we've even seen, my husband works for a large corporation that everybody would know. It's, a top internet name pretty much. But we've been married 6 years this summer, and he's been working there for about 4. And just even and our cut, what we get through them is so great, and it is so affordable comparatively to all of these nightmares I hear from all of my friends and family. But even that has just increased and increased and increased and increased. You used to cover a family for $250, and it's definitely almost double that now from when he started. So it's affecting the businesses too, even the big ones, because of how many people they're covering. And, I'm just so sick of hearing, these greedy corporations and the greedy insurance companies, and it's all their fault. And if they would just stop doing what they're doing, then all of this would work. And and that's most of what Bernie has been doing, is just blaming. Everybody's a 1%er except for, everyone's a 1%er that he doesn't like and doesn't want to agree with, and so he just blames them and trashes the companies, and not fair and it's not logical, and it doesn't make any sense to have them shoulder all the burden, because that's not how business works. But I was going to say, I thought it was really interesting. Cruz, Bernie kind of set himself up for it. At one point he said, basically that most of America agrees that healthcare is a right. And Cruz said, let's talk about rights. What is a right? And he basically said, rights as given to us by our government. Here are the limited rights given to us by our government. They are not things that we are owed. They're things the government can't do. They're stops put on the government. Like, think about the Bill of Rights. They can't, restrict speech. They can't infringe on religious liberty. They can't take away your right to bear arms. They can't. It's restricting the government. So it's not exactly, it's a little bit different than how they always want to say, we have these rights and America needs to owes these people these rights, like it's something you give. And that's not exactly how we were founded.
Well, no, but it's how the liberal side of things want things to be founded. And I'm sorry, I promised myself I was going to stop doing that because I don't really view the leftists of today as liberal. I'm going to just start calling them leftists because, liberals at least have a modicum of common sense. Leftists really don't. One of the things that I thought was the most funny about this whole debate tonight was when Bernie Sanders was talking about the fact that, the Republicans are positively panicking over Obamacare. Really? Then why is it that the left are the ones that are rioting and breaking windows and beating people up and burning things down, but we're the ones that are panicking? I'm kind of confused by that statement.
Well, this has been a problem for a while, right? They always kind of try to push this back on us, like we're the ones that are... I don't. They flip the script, basically, I think is what they try to do very often, and it just doesn't make any sense. But I don't think that most of the people that they're trying to reach care to use any sense, so it doesn't matter.
And that is probably true. All right, so we are actually coming up to the bottom of the hour. I want to remind some folks, if you haven't checked out the website for a while, I do encourage you to do so. We actually have a newsletter that's been added there. It's actually going to kind of be a feature posting about once a month to kind of go over upcoming things. We also have a mug giveaway going on. We have a piece of art that was commissioned by one of the station managers that has now actually been placed on a coffee mug. Well, she's decided to give away the exact same coffee mug. So all you have to do, if you decide you want to get the coffee mug, and I believe there's actually a picture of it on the website. If not, we'll make sure one gets up there over the next couple of days because I think we're going to extend it for a while to see how much interest we can drum up for it. But if you'd like to find out about how to get the mug or you'd like to enter, just use the comment form on klrnradio.com. Let them know that you'd like to enter for the mug. Trust me, you guys are lucky that staff members aren't eligible to enter because I kind of like the mug. I'd enter if I could. But anyway, we're going to take a really quick break, pay some bills. When we come back, more about this whole... Actually, you know what? I think we've talked enough about the debate. We have some audio I want to make sure we get to on the second half. So when we come back, we're actually going to change topics, but I'll leave you in suspense. This is Jenn and Rick. We'll be right back here in about 4 minutes.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for you.
Is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it.
All right, folks, welcome back. And yeah, been one of those nights. Sorry, I'm kind of off my game on the production side of things tonight. I didn't have the right file ready to go. But anyway, we're back. There may have been a little bit of dead air there for a few seconds here and there, too, because for some reason things are kind of timing out on me over here. But anyway, so we have a bit of audio. I actually used this on the Weekend Update button. Miss Jenn and I hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet. This is actually from Fox News, to give credit where credit is due. This is from the Tucker Carlson show, and I'm just going to let it play without much more explanation, and then we'll talk about it when it's over. Maybe.
Being put forward by Sierra Club Executive Director Michael Brune. He and his organization have opposed President Trump's cabinet picks. Michael Brune joins us from Oakland, California. Michael, thanks a lot for coming on. Let me just say, I've always liked the Sierra Club. I grew up camping in the Sierras. I gave money to the Sierra Club. I think John Muir is really cool. I read your founding statement about protecting and enjoying the environment, and I totally agree with that as a sportsman. But then I see you come out on all kinds of issues that don't appear related at all to me, to the environment, and I'm confused. For example, you all issued a press release the other day saying that President Trump's border tax on Mexico he's going to use to pay for the wall is xenophobic. Now, it may be, or maybe, you could kind of debate it, but why is that within your purview as an environmental organization?
Well, look, it's part of the Sierra Club's job. Our mission is to explore, enjoy, and protect the planet, and we don't think that separating some parts of America from others is a good way to do that. The Sierra Club stands to protect the rights of all Americans to have clean air, clean water, and a healthy democracy in order to fight for their rights. If we start to deny a pathway to citizenship for millions of Americans, then those are the Americans who won't have an ability to use our democracy to fight for a better world.
It seems a little bit of a stretch, but so are you against putting gates on the national parks? Because that kind of divides the country.
Are we against putting gates on national parks?
Yeah, you said you're against a border wall because you're against dividing barriers between places.
There aren't gates on our national parks.
Well, sure there are. I mean, if you want to drive into Yellowstone, you've got to kind of drive through a little gate and pay the money and all that. I mean, in other words, protecting the environment sometimes means walling it off from too many people.
Not really.
No?
Not really. There's no gate around Yellowstone. There is a little fence where you have to pay a $20 fee.
That's what I'm saying.
There's not a wall around it.
Okay.
Just like there shouldn't be a wall around our country.
Okay.
Have you been to Yellowstone?
Yeah, I was just there. And you kind of drive through and pay your dough. But my question is, it's a little more specific than that. So, I mean, we can have a debate about walls and xenophobia and all that, but again, why is that germane to your mission as expressed in your mission statement? So I'll give you another example, abortion. So last year on the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, you all issued a press release saying that the Sierra Club stands in solidarity, I think I'm quoting, with Planned Parenthood. Now, people feel that way, okay. What does that have to do with the environment? Why does legal abortion make the environment better?
Well, we believe in empowering women's rights. We think that women who have rights and who have the ability to have choice about their reproductive, make their own reproductive choices, will help to produce strong families and will help to protect the environment at the same time. Sierra Club is pro-choice.
But why? I mean, I get that you're pro-choice. That's fine. But that doesn't. What does that have to do with the environment? Like, how specifically does more abortion or legal abortion help the environment?
Well, it helps to address the number of people that we have on this planet. We feel that one of the ways in which we can get to a sustainable population is to empower women to make choices about their own families.
Okay.
So we're just going to stop it there. Now, I'm going to back up for a second, and then I'll turn Jen Lewis, because I've actually already talked about this for almost an hour on Saturday. There was a point back there where he started talking about, that if we put up a wall or we did this, that, and the other, we were going to be depriving Americans of the ability to partake in our particular civilization. Last I checked, the people that we're trying to keep out aren't Americans.
Oh, you are just so not inclusive, and you're bigoted, and can't you just see America is the country for the world, and people get to be Americans just by doing whatever they want and saying so whenever they want to.
Then why did they get mad? Then why did they get mad about Team America World Police? I mean, if America is the country for the whole world, shouldn't we be the police force for the whole world too?
It is just, doesn't it just kind of make your head hurt sometimes, the way that they go round and round with this and try to justify and rationalize their positions about things? I mean, it's so hard to do. No wonder they're all nuts.
It's detrimental to Americans to put up a wall. Really? We're talking about keeping people out that are not American citizens. I mean, I hate to roll things back to, like 1776, but, the Constitution, all that stuff that they talked about, that eventually came about, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, all that fun stuff. That stuff was specifically referring to people that were here, that were Americans. We're not giving everybody our Constitution worldwide. That's not how that works. Each government has the ability to govern themselves. And while we're talking about whether or not we're allowed to keep people out, these same people that are freaking out over this temporary stay on letting people from like 7 countries into our country don't seem to say a word about the fact that if you are actually the Prime Minister of Japan has made it illegal to come to Japan if you're a Muslim. Specifically uses the words, you cannot come here if you are Muslim. And nobody says a word. I'm so confused.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they don't want us to be, like we were talking about, they don't want us to be the world police. They don't, but for some reason we're supposed to not get involved in conflict, but then give all of our money and be the world's problem fixer, but not with boots on the ground, not with our soldiers. So no force. We're just supposed to, I guess, throw money at it and make food drops. I don't know, whatever, and hope everything goes well. And then on the other side, we're supposed to welcome in anybody and everybody because everybody has a story and a problem and a background and a thing, and they all deserve to be here. And we're a nation of immigrants after all, so we can't discriminate against anybody for any reason. It's insane. It is the only place on this planet that the rest of the world thinks should have to act that way. It is crazy. And, like I already mentioned earlier, having lived in Europe, they don't think like that at all. I don't know where they get off thinking that they can tell America to act that way because, in fact, there's quite a lot of nationalism in the various countries over in Europe, and particularly some of the areas, the areas along the Mediterranean where I was. They wholeheartedly believed in autonomy, even though there was, the European Union relationship. But so this is this leftist dream of being like Europe and all of that. And then thinking that they're better than us so that they can tell us how we need to act and behave and have our immigration policies be laid out, our tax policies, our healthcare policies, have all of these things laid out for us is just nonsensical.
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me. It makes none.
Yeah, it really doesn't. So, we can just keep going down this path and let ourselves be overrun and controlled. Let everything be dictated by these global, influences and worry about what they think and what they're going to say, or we can take control of our country and do what's right for America. And even if you don't agree with the wall and all of that, that certainly is what the goal here is to, enforce the laws of America to protect Americans and then be able to discern immigrants. Because I don't think anybody really, there's a very small percentage of the population that believes that there should be no immigration. That's just not even a thing. So they need to stop acting like that's what the GOP means. It's disingenuous.
And I hadn't planned on playing this, but since we started talking about that pause and a few other things that are going on, I actually have a relevant audio clip that was just brought to my attention. So we're going to go ahead and this is actually the DHS secretary explaining about the pause so they could figure out on vetting.
The whole reason for this pause is to get our arms around the term vetting.
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me. The reason the media is having a field day with this, though, is because Trump, who is not a polished public speaker, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him at this point. It's just the truth. He says the first thing that comes out of his mouth. He used the word ban like 15 times, so the media ran with it. I mean, really, yes. Folks, this isn't a ban. I mean, we're talking about limiting people's access to the point where we're going to take some extra time before they actually get into the country to make sure that, one, they are who they say they are. And I have had so many crazy conversations with leftists about this because they seem to have an issue with us trying to secure our borders. But the funny thing is I ask them the same question and I invariably get the same answer. So you're telling me that we shouldn't make sure that our borders are safe and secure. I have a question. Do you lock your doors at night when you go to sleep, or do you lock your doors at night when you leave your home, or during the day when you leave your home? And invariably they say yes. But then I have to ask them. I said, okay, so, because I had a big, long, drawn-out conversation with a former host who was like, well, there's never been an instance of anybody from one of these countries as far as being an actual refugee causing us any harm. I said, okay, but we're not safe to take a pause, take a little bit of time, go through things a little more, make sure they are who they say they are, make sure there are no other issues that we're not aware of. I said, but at the same time, do you lock your door when you leave? Do you lock your door when you go to sleep? Well, yeah, but it's not the same thing. I'm like, how is it not the same thing? Do you answer the question? Do you lock your door? Do you not lock your door? Well, of course I lock my door. Everybody locks their door. Okay, so I have a question. Do you lock your door because somebody has actually broke into your home and done some damage or caused you harm? Or do you lock your door because you think there may be a possibility that they may do that thing? Because I would hazard a guess that it is the latter, not the former.
Absolutely. And, we can all argue about how we go about doing this. But I think that there are very reasonable things in place already that just need to be actually enforced, or maybe some security strengthened and whatever. So, I'm fine with people debating the wall as being practical and being, financially prudent and all of those kinds of things. But to act like it's ridiculous to have borders is just kind of maniacal.
Okay. Sorry, lost train of thought.
So
Derail track one.
I want to talk about the going to the part about the abortion and population control.
Oh yeah, we were gonna. That's why I got hung up. I was like, I know there was something I was gonna let you talk about, but I can't remember what it was. All right, so yeah.
So a couple things. First off, Tucker did a great job leading him right to that path. I mean, he had to. Like, you can't be an environmentalist group that comes out as pro-choice because that's like the right thing for how is that the right thing for the environment? And he nailed him down and made him say it. He used the word sustainable population because it will control to bring the number of people on this earth to a sustainable population, which, by the way, we don't even know what that is or what that means. I mean, they have all sorts of ideas for what would be unsustainable, but 30 years ago, they thought our population now would possibly be unsustainable based on use of oil. Refining gas was not happening near as quickly. They thought other precious resources would be gone, and that the pollution from all sorts of different industries would be having a greater effect. And that's where I'd like to point out that I, like many conservatives, are in favor of conservation and smart environmental policies that do actually protect our citizens and our country, our cities, our air, not all of this hashtag science, not really sciencey crap that, they just make up to suck a bunch of money out of us. But the words that he used, to empower women to make decisions for their own families. He is using, much like a bunch of these Planned Parenthood defenders and then pro-abortion advocates. I call them pro-abortion because they really are like them here. They look for a sustainable population. They really think that abortion is a good thing for a lot of women that are not in the best of positions, maybe don't have a stable career. They don't live in a great area. They don't have a husband or a partner or, whatever that they will be raising the child with. And they think the child is better off dead. And that those women are better off with their children dead because of what then they can do, and that they will be trapped and stuck if that stupid baby happens to be born. So they've gone to using this language of empowering, and they call it choice because they want it to be like they want a positive spin on it, like your choice to be able to decide for yourself, for your life. And, it's just a bunch of crap. It really is. So I am glad that he did actually say the word sustainable population, that it's good for the environment because of the number of people we have, and abortions, help us achieve a sustainable population. But I just hate all the buzzwords and the way that they have trained people to talk about infanticide. It's really sick.
No, I mean it's just insane. I mean, the scary thing is these were things that they would never say in public before. These were things that were relegated to tinfoil hat theories like Agenda 21. Where they started talking about things like population control and ways to maintain population at sustainable levels. And now they're just openly talking about them. I mean, that's one of the things that I guess has floored me over the last few days is the fact that, we have one group of the left that is so far out of touch and so afraid of everything that's going on that they're literally rioting in the streets. But we have another group that has suddenly become so empowered that now they're not even trying to hide anything from people anymore. They're just flat out saying, yeah, we think abortion's a great idea because it's going to help us control the population. I mean, it sounds like Bob Barker from The Price is Right.
It is. It's just, I guess, and they're getting bolder and they're admitting it more openly. There was someone else recently that, with all the Women's March stuff that was going on, that also admitted that abortion could be used wisely and in the right situations for these women. And their, these choices for their lives, and to make themselves better, richer, fuller, help their lives be more than what they are by doing what? Oh, having an abortion. So they're really starting to push this idea and frame it in a way to now it be like a pro-environment thing and a pro-woman thing and a pro-family. That's how they're framing it all, and it's working with a lot of people. Unfortunately, it's really kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I have we're still working on trying to get everything pulled together, but I've just been made aware that apparently there is some breaking news coming from the Senate. Apparently, the Senate has just found Warren in violation of Rule 19, Section 2 of the Rules Governing Senate debate. In more specifically, number 2, no senator in debate shall directly or indirectly by any form of words, any form or words, impugn to another senator or to other senators any conduct or motive unworthy or unbecoming of a senator.
Yes, and they voted 49 to 43. So now what this means is that she is barred from speaking on the floor through the end of the sessions debate.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, so I'm sure she's real happy about that. And I can't imagine all the whining we're going to hear over the next week about her being barred. But sorry, Liz.
You know, maybe should have not come clean quite so soon about not really being an Indian. They might have taken some more pity on you or something.
Just tell them you're going back to the wigwam. It's fine.
Oh, God, I can't think of the person that actually sings this song, but there was a country song that it was so bad it was just kind of funny when I was a kid, and that was actually starts talking, it was one of the ones where they start talking about a wigwam. It's the guy that said that his dad was an outlaw and his mom was a Sioux or something. I don't know. I can't think of the song right now, but
Tim McGraw?
I think so. Indian Outlaw.
Indian Outlaw, half Cherokee
Indian
and Choctaw.
That was it. As soon as
My Baby, She's a Chippewa. I might know this song, maybe a little.
As soon as you said wigwam, the chorus of the song started playing in my head, and I'm like, oh my God. I haven't thought about that song in ages, but it was just, it's one of those things where if you played it now, someone would arrest you for being a racist.
I love it. Yeah, and then they break down like, and then I was like, boom, 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 boom. They totally go. They go full appropriation.
Yeah, they go full appropriation. It's one of those things where if a song like that was made today, nobody would listen to it, and they would like poo-poo it, and it would be like the worst thing ever. It's like there are certain shows and movies that can't ever be remade because the world wouldn't be able to survive them now.
Yeah, poor little dears.
But we can talk about how abortion is a good thing and it should be population control, but God forbid somebody... Yeah, anyway.
You can't wear a headdress to a Halloween party or a sombrero.
Well, I mean, technically I could... Well, I technically should be able to wear a headdress because I am actually part Indian, but I don't look like it, so they would still be like, you freaking white guy, take that off.
Yeah, your white face would really offend them, so...
Well,
that's not.
My fat face probably wouldn't be very nice to them either.
Whatever.
All right. So anyway, believe it or not, we're about out of time. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me?
Yes, please come find me on Twitter at jhomestead and check out my project with some really smart and awesome people, misfitspolitics.com.
I'm still so used to you saying the Weebly that I forget that
I know. I almost did it just then, too. I had to really concentrate.
All right, folks. And, of course, I am Rick Robinson. I'm here every actually, we're going to kind of do things a little bit differently. But the live broadcasts are going to be still Monday through Thursday. Then we've been doing a weekend edition lately because we're kind of down on some weekend content. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm like, you know what? I can't go a whole 2 days without doing radio. So anyway, we've started the America Off the Rails weekend edition. So that's usually airing live at about 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. Usually we'll try to replay it again on Sunday night. It also airs on crntalk.com on Sunday night over there. And of course, I'm over here at 11 Eastern. Then of course, Jenn and Rick every Tuesday and Thursday. And then the Robinson and Wright Show Friday night at 11 Eastern. And, of course, you can hang out with me on Twitter at AOTR_host. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, you can reach me there, or you can shoot me an email if you're old school at rick@klrnradio.com. But on that note, don't forget, go check out the website, check out the newsletter, enter for a chance to win the mug. Otherwise, I'm just going to break into the boss's office and take it, because if you guys don't want it, I do. So anyway, we will be back. I'll actually be back with you here in just about 5 minutes or so. Live for America Off the Rails. Don't go away.
Not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom